What's going on, guys? Good afternoon. Let's talk a little Seahawks offense. Let's talk about the O. What are they doing? How can they get better? What do we need? How are things on that side of the ball? Not great. Not great. It it's still in a pretty good spot given what I think a lot of people expected, but I think it's important to always be aware of the way things are trending. So let's review the damage because the last two games in particular, the Seahawks offense has not really shown up. And that is reflected in the season stats. If you take a look at this page here, which lists every team in the league by number of points scored per game, you can see, excuse me, the Seattle Seahawks, who at one point were up in the top four with Philadelphia, Kansas City, and Buffalo, have fallen significantly. Their offense has fallen all the way down to ninth, tied for ninth in the entire NFL with 24.3 points scored per game. They've fallen below a team like the Dallas Cowboys that had played half their year with a backup quarterback. They've fallen behind a team like the San Francisco 49ers that has had to play their last several games with Mr. Irrelevant. It's not good. They're just barely ahead of a team like the Jacksonville Jaguars that looked DOA like a month and a half ago. They're barely ahead of a team like the Chargers and Raiders, both teams that have had their offense crippled by injuries at many points this year. It's not a good trend line. And let's also remember here when talking about this offense that the Seahawks have scored basically three garbage time touchdowns in the last three games they played. Garbage time with like 20 seconds left against the Panthers. Garbage time basically against the 49ers. Or if it wasn't garbage time, it was very much a end of game scramble, let's pray something crazy happens type of touchdown. And then we had that garbage time touchdown against the Chiefs that was pure garbage time um, with like, what was it, 3 or 4 minutes left in the game when you're down three touchdowns. That is the definition of garbage time. So honestly, while I understand that garbage time touchdowns are part of the game and that every team is going to score some here and there, I could argue that some of the points that the Seahawks have scored in recent weeks are kind of soft points, not points I would give full credit for. So you put this all together and you have an offense that has fallen from, at one point, like I said, I think they were fourth in the league. They have plummeted all the way down to tied for ninth in the league with Miami. Still better than they were last year. Last year, I believe they ended up 16th. And actually, ninth in the league would be equal to 2020. In 2020, they were ninth in the league in points scored per game. So, still a positive step in the right direction, but these recent developments where the offense really hasn't played as well as it did early in the season hasn't had that big explosive game where they've just dominated, like say against the Lions, and I'd even say to a certain extent against the Saints, where you lose. We have to reevaluate things, starting at the top with Shane Waldron. Now, of course, I still like Waldron. I still think he's done a really good job this year. He's put together a good offense with two rookie tackles, a veteran journeyman career backup quarterback, and he's had to deal with some injuries. But I will say this, and maybe this is a good thing. He's got to be off the table as far as a head coaching hire goes. There was a time, a couple months ago, where I would have said there's a chance that somebody picks up Waldron to be their head coach in the offseason. I don't think that's going to happen now. A top five offense, yeah, that probably would have gotten him out of here and over to like, I don't know, who's a low key team that needs, like the Panthers or something like that. Now, at least we get to keep him another year almost certainly. I can't imagine anybody picking him up now. And there there are good reasons why this is happening. You've had to play some games in bad weather. I talked about months ago how the offense would fall off a little bit and Gino in particular would start to play worse as the weather got worse, and we have seen that. I think the weather affected their game against the Chiefs. That was a game where I expected the offense to score some serious points. They didn't, not even close. I think the weather had something to do with that. Playing against that very weak defense, they could barely do anything in terms of scoring points. They were able to move the ball, get yards, but they weren't able to turn that into anything meaningful. So some of it is understandable, but there's some stuff going on with this offense that has to either be on his head or it's on Carroll's head interfering with things. I don't know. But the way we ran the ball in the second half against the Chiefs was bizarre. It's like we just wanted to get the game over with. The abandonment of 3 tight end sets, we're not running them as much as we used to. We're still running them more than most teams, but we got away from what made our offense unique and interesting and fun and difficult to stop. The way we've used the tight ends on the plays when they're on the field leaves me scratching my head a little bit. And maybe most damning, we've really gotten away from the Geno bootlegs that were working so well at one point this year. So on the Waldron level, the play calling level, the coordinator level, it's not making me feel great about the future the way that I felt maybe a couple months ago. I still feel good. Still like Waldron, still like the work he's done this year, of course. But there are some things going on with this offense that don't have a lot to do with the injuries, the opponents, the players, the situations. They just have to do with weird decision making. Like, what happened in the second half against the Chiefs? Did we just abandon the passing game because we had Stone Forsythe out there at right tackle? Is that really what it was? We just didn't want to let Geno get killed? Okay, I guess I understand, but if you're afraid about Geno getting killed, just put Drew Lock in the game. Like, if you're going to be that scared of letting Geno drop back to pass, I'm serious. Just put Drew Lock in the game. You were basically just trying to get the game over with the way you were playing it anyway. So I don't know if I totally buy that as an excuse. And I understand that offenses need to morph and change as the year goes on. But it really just feels like we've abandoned a lot of the things that we were doing earlier in the year that really paid off, like the bootleg stuff, the 3 tight end stuff. There were some things this offense was doing really well for an extended period of time, and I do wonder why the team has gotten away from it. So I'm a little worried on that level, but I want to talk more about the players here, because the thing I really want to stress here, first of all, you have injuries. The injury to Lockett has obviously hurt only for the last game, but this is the NFL. You only play 17 games a year. One game's kind of a big deal. So losing Lockett hurts. Disley's clearly been less than 100% lately, and he was a big part of what we were doing on offense. That hurts. Mostly, I would say the injuries to the backfield have derailed things a little bit. You lose Penny, you lose Walker for a little bit, you lose DJ Dallas for a little bit there. He basically had to limp through that Rams game. Travis Homer has been in and out of the lineup all year. Like, we are talking about a offense that it's gotten a fairly healthy year from the offensive line. It's gotten a fairly healthy year from the quarterback, but it is losing some pieces, and the margins for this offense were already somewhat thin. So I get it on that level. But when you take a look at what should be getting better next year, getting an extra year of experience for your 2 stud rookie tackles, probably importing a better center and probably a better right guard in the offseason, getting another receiver, having another year with a guy like a Noah Fant, having another year potentially with a guy like a Geno Smith, I think this stuff will get better just because of time. So when trying to evaluate this offense going forward, it's not as fun to evaluate as it was a few weeks ago, but I do want to stress that even though I do think there are some fundamental problems with the way this offense is going, I do believe that a lot of it is a talent deficiency problem, and we've got draft picks. We got draft picks to get better offensive pieces. We can fix this interior offensive line. We can improve our receiver depth and hopefully improve our running back depth as well. And I do believe that's going to be a big part of the problem, fixed. But before I end this video talking about the offense here, there's one thing that is really stuck in my craw right now about this O. It's the process. The process has been great for most of this year, but lately it seems like that's gotten away from us. Geno Smith is getting up to the line of scrimmage with no time on the play clock. He's He had to use 4 timeouts because the play clock was running out against the Chiefs. 4. That's 4 too many. Sorry, but part of the Geno Smith experience was he was going to be better at that stuff than Wilson. He was going to be good pre-snap. He was going to be good getting up to the line with 15 plus seconds left on the play clock so he could do the things at the line of scrimmage and get the snap off. And for most of the year, he's been really good. And I'm trying to figure out what has happened there, because I can understand Waldron being a relatively inexperienced play caller, needing a little more time to figure this stuff out and being better in year 3, especially when he gets the better players that I understand that we need. We need a better center. We need a better guard. We need better receiver depth. We need better running back depth, or we need the running backs we have to stay healthy. Either way. But I do want to really stress, what about our process? What is happening with the process of playing football before the ball gets snapped? Because the other stuff, that stuff, I believe it can be fixed. I'm not worried about it. I'm not sweating it. I believe that an off season is going to help a lot. But the thing that has me hung up right now on the offense, why have we gotten away from getting up to the line with enough time on the play clock? Why has Geno been unable to get snaps off? Why is Geno starting to get completely blindsided by some of these blitzes the way he wasn't earlier in the season? What has changed? What is going on there? Can it be fixed? Whose responsibility is it? And once those questions get answered, I'm going to feel a lot better about where this offense is going for the future. So, what do you guys think? Because I'm kind of stumped on this one. Why would the process pre-snap for the Seahawks on offense get worse? I'm trying to figure it out myself, but that is the thing that is really hanging me up right now. See you guys later.